Okay, Mr. Speaker, in connection to that, and pass on to Article 125 of our Constitution and Standing Order 195, Mr. Speaker, can we summon the FKF chairman and all the officials of FKF, Minister, Sports and Culture, Mr. Speaker, to come before this House or before the Departmental Committee, Mr. Speaker, on Labor, to explain, Mr. Speaker, on the rampant corruption in FKF, which is affecting the performance, which is killing the performance, Mr. Speaker, of our national team, the Harambee Stars, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our memories are very fresh, Mr. Speaker. The suffering, Mr. Speaker, our national team underwent, Mr. Speaker, when they were flying to Cape Verde. The poor performance, Mr. Speaker, in the World Cup qualifier matches, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, what is in is not in order. We wonder why the Ministry of Sports and the Chair, Labor Committee, we wonder why they are reluctant in bringing this statement, in delivering this statement before this Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, for prosecution. Mr. Speaker, since this statement has not been delivered by the Ministry through the Chair, Labor Committee, and since the Deputy Chair is here, Mr. Speaker, in addition to the statement which they are going to deliver, Mr. Speaker, I want the Chair, through the Ministry, to give a clarification on the 3 dossiers, Mr. Speaker, from members of the public, which I have with me here, Mr. Speaker. Dossier number 1, Mr. Speaker, on the agreement between FKF and MP and Silver Company, a company based in Monaco, Mr. Speaker, whereby FKF received millions of dollars, Mr. Speaker, for the Kenya Premier League, Mr. Speaker, and I will hand over the dossier, Mr. Speaker, to the Chair, Mr. Speaker. It is an agreement between FKF, Mr. Speaker, and MP Silver Sal Company, a company incorporated in Monaco, France, Mr. Speaker, whereby it was agreed that MP Silver, Mr. Speaker, sponsors the Kenya Premier League clubs, Mr. Speaker, participating in our Premier League tournaments, where each of the clubs in the country, Mr. Speaker, was to receive $1 million shillings on monthly basis during the period of the Kenya Premier League, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the money was wired to the FKF account, and I have a statement here with me, the FKF statement, that the money was withdrawn in cash by Mr. Nyamweya, the FKF president, and his deputies, Mr. Speaker. The money was misappropriated. The matter, Mr. Speaker, was forwarded to the Director of CID via the letter dated June 23rd, 2015. Up to now, no action has been taken. What is the ministry position on this allegation, Mr. Speaker? And I wish to table the documents, Mr. Speaker, the statements.
Let me look at the statements. Allow Senator Mbuvi to table the documents.
It's bad-based Premier League in UK. It draws players from here. The best number 6 in all over UK is Victor Wanyama, who comes from Kenya. The best number 11 now, today, Mr. Speaker, with the Liverpool, is Origi, who comes from Kenya. So the problem is stealing money. Stealing, Mr. Speaker. Deal with the stealing. The problem will be finished in this country. Thieves!
Yes, Senator Mbuvi.
Mr. Speaker, I concur with Senator Mudhama's remarks, Mr. Speaker. For us as leaders, to restore the Kenyan soccer back to its lost glory, Mr. Speaker, corruption at FKF must be addressed, Mr. Speaker. I don't know what powers do we have here at the Senate, Mr. Speaker. the elections are going to be held, Mr. Speaker, I think in the next few days. And Mr. Speaker, FKF is in operation illegally, contrary to the Sports Act, Act number 48, because they are supposed to be registered with the Ministry of Sports. They have not done that, Mr. Speaker. Again, Mr. Speaker, with your earlier ruling, and pursuant to Article number 125 and our standing order number 195, if we have the powers of summoning the captains and the owners of the aircraft which was hired to ferry or transport our players to Cape Verde, because, Mr. Speaker, the allegations that the players were transported to Cape Verde using a Miraa carrying aircraft, Mr. Speaker. And this is the same, Mr. Speaker, airline that was involved in several air crashes, Mr. Speaker. We lost 3 captains, Mr. Speaker, through this aircraft owned by this airline, Mr. Speaker. And also the information we have, Mr. Speaker, our players who use this aircraft, Mr. Speaker, were not comfortable. They were not served with meals for the 18 hours they were traveling to Cape Verde, Mr. Speaker. There was no water which was served, Mr. Speaker. And before that, Mr. Speaker, the FKF chairman, Mr. Speaker, raised an invoice to the government on 13th of this month, Mr. Speaker, an invoice of 17 million. And in that invoice, Mr. Speaker, there was an invoice from Air Mauritius, which was charging 7.7 million for return air ticket.
I'll pray that you reserve those details to the committee because I'm about to rule on that.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The definition of a dead Homo sapien is when you have no pulse and the pupils are dilated and fixed. The definition of a dead football club, the definition of a dead football club is as varied as your own thinking. But every dark cloud has a silver lining. Maybe a few members of the Senate looking at Harambee Stars as a dead club could be a good abuse to resuscitate them. Because in resuscitating a dead person, sometimes we even use electric shocks. Maybe that's an electric shock with some reasonable force. I therefore rule this. The committee should include in the investigations and report all the issues that have been raised on the floor of this House today. They should also study keenly the reports and documents as tabled on the floor of this House by Senator Mbuvi. The urgency of the report is of utter importance, paramount importance. Are 2 weeks enough? I don't know. But the important issue here is not the short period of investigations. This is a chronic illness that hit our football industry. Have a thorough report and report within 2 months.